All right, welcome to Module 3. In this module, you're going to start taking the information that you've been gathering and thinking about in the first 2 weeks, and you're going to kind of put it together into an organized collection of sources. You may have heard this described as an annotated bibliography. It's just another term for it, so don't let that term scare you. It's really just a collection first of your thoughts on how your research is going in some specific categories, and then a listing of your sources with descriptions under each one where you explain how you're going to use the source. So I'm going to go over how you do this, but please also look in your module information in the resources page. There are several links to resources in your text and other places that talk about how to complete and create an annotated bibliography. So if you need more than what I share here, please go look at those resources. I will also post a few additional resources that I like in the announcement with this video. There is no slideshow this week. We'll just go over the assignment because the things that you're putting in this assignment, you've basically already built in weeks 1 and 2. So let's get started here. Right now I have pulled up your assignment for Module 3. So I'm not going to read all of this, but this is going to be a little bit different in that you're not going to just write everything out in this outline that you're given here. So for numbers 1 through 4, you are going to write in paragraph form. You're going to think that some of this is redundant, but you should have been kind of refining and revising as your thoughts on your project in the first couple of weeks. And so the idea here is that you put these thoughts down where they are now, so that we can see your progress, your progression through your research. So you're going to start by talking about the purpose of your research and stating your research question again. Now, your research question, even though you've already stated it in previous assignment, you are probably going to have it be slightly different now. Some of you have completely changed your research questions. Some of you have maybe refined them, but regardless, it's probably going to be a little different than it was. So you're going to put your research question in here, and you're going to talk about the potential answer to your research question. And this is getting a little bit more involved than what we did earlier. Now that you've done the research and you've read these viewpoints that are diverse and you've thought about bias, you should have a pretty good idea as to what is the answer to your research question that you plan to argue in your persuasive project. And so that's what we want to hear here in this paragraph. And then talk about the impact of using biased sources to support your topic. So the sources that you found, if they are biased or how they are biased, and how that helps and or could impact your topic and your argument, your ability to be persuasive, and how you've used diverse viewpoints to support your position. So you kind of started talking about that in the discussion in week 2. So you're going to kind of think about what you wrote there, and I would also look at your feedback from your classmates and think a little bit more deeply about the diverse perspectives, and you can discuss it here. So that's what you're going to do. Numbers 1 through 4 should be a few paragraphs, maybe even up to a page or so of writing. Then you're going to get to 5 and 6, where you're going to do what is officially called an annotated bibliography, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's move over to my sample. I have a sample here. It is done in a Google Doc because that is what I typically use. I will give you a link to this Google Doc in the announcement for this video so you can look at it. If you would like your own copy of it, you can go up under the File menu and make a copy. You will not have edit access to this document, but you will be able to view it. So you can see at the beginning, first of all, you need your title. Normally this would be called an annotated bibliography, but in this class it's called a collection of sources, so make sure you title it. And then you're going to start with your paragraph information for those first numbers 1 through 4. What I have pasted here is actually the sample, one of the sample final project pieces, the collection of sources from that. So this may look a little bit familiar. And one note on that, what you're doing this week is actually part of your final project. So in week 7, when you turn in the final draft of your actual research argument, your actual essay, you will also be turning in a revised version of this exact assignment. Why will it be revised? Because you may end up changing your research, changing your sources out by the time you get to that final draft. You may add sources, you might decide not to use one of these, whatever it may be, but chances are pretty good that you won't use this exact same set of sources by the end. And so you will have to take a look at this, review it, and also your research question and thesis statement may be different. So you'll have to kind of look over this whole thing, you'll have to revise it, and then you'll submit it as part of that final project. So make sure you put a good amount of effort into this because it will save you a lot of time in week 7. All right, so you can see at the beginning here, all of the things 1 through 4 are identified. The things in brackets are just because they're part of the sample. They tell you where each of these things are found in the sample. You don't need to do that part. You just need to make sure you have it all in here. And then if we scroll down, you're going to see this is where we actually start the collection of sources. So you're going to put sources in here. And I would probably give this a title as well. You're going to list your sources in alphabetical order, starting by the last name of the author. Now, you want to put your APA citation or MLA, use whatever you started using at the beginning of this course. So if you started with APA, then you're going to use it the whole way through. The source that I've listed here is in APA style. And that's because I think probably 95% of students that I teach in this course use APA style. If you need help with MLA citations, you can go ahead and ask me or go visit the Purdue OWL and you can get some help there. But this is how you do an annotated bibliography. So you're going to put your APA citation here, and it needs to be in what's called a hanging indent, regardless if it's APA or MLA. The way to do a hanging indent, which means first line is at your normal margin, second line is indented. I have here in my note instructions on how to make that happen in a Google Doc. I will put a link to how to make it happen in a Word document in the announcement. Then you're going to list a description, and this is going back to numbers 5 and 6 of your assignment instructions. You're listing your source, that's number 5, and in number 6, you're writing a little blurb under each citation, maybe 2 to 4 sentences or so you should aim for, where you're going to briefly summarize the source, state why the source is credible, how you know this is going to be a good source, and how the source is relevant to your research question. You're going to do that in a very brief little blurb under the source. Then you do your next source, same thing, add a blurb, and so on. You keep in mind that you have 3 sources for this that are required for this assignment. One should be the source that was posted in Module 1 under each category. Remember, we had a list of articles and you started with one of those. That's your first source. The other 2 sources should be ones that you have found in the Shapiro Library. So we need a full citation. It should be clear that those are academic and credible sources. If you have done more research than that, that's fine. You do not need to include those sources at this point, although you will at the end need to include all of your sources in this part of the project. So I recommend, if you have more than those 3 sources now, put all your sources in here, because this is a way for you to organize yourself and think about the next step, which is an outline. It will be much easier if you have blurbs written for each of your sources so you remember easily which one had which type of information from which type of viewpoint, right? It'll be a lot easier for you to start diving in and writing if you have this kind of roadmap for yourself. So my recommendation is that you add all sources that you're considering right now. You won't get extra credit for that, but it will help you. And then in Module 7, it will likely just be the need for you to maybe reduce to what you actually ended up using in your paper. So that's really the gist of this assignment. It's not difficult, really just a list of your sources and summaries about them, and this top part in which you kind of think about and get your thoughts down on your sources and bias and diverse viewpoints to date. If you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll be happy to help or meet with you via Zoom if you need some extra support with this. At this point, you can't be changing your topic, so you should be pretty set there. But, if you have, as we go down the road, you may refine your argument a little bit or continue to slightly refine your research question. But now we're really kind of digging in. We're getting to the point where it will soon be time to write a first draft. And so make sure that you're feeling comfortable with what you've chosen. Have a great week and good luck.